Well, hello all, how you doing? Hope you're all doing well, looking like yourself, keep you well, etc, etc, blah blah blah. Right, before we roll the intro, we're just going to tell you what this little video or vlog is going to be about. It's going to be, you're going to start hearing in the news soon about Royal Mail and your postman, and I'm going to give you a little bit of why you should be supporting your local postman. So for now, roll that intro. Righto, thank you for being patient and watching the intro even, and do a little bit about supporting your local postie and or postman or woman, post person, and why you should be doing it and what's going on that you're not hearing about because it's not in the mainstream news at the moment. And to really get to the heart of the story, you've got to go back just over 2 years ago, at the start of the pandemic, when everything was in lockdown or going into lockdown, and Royal Mail went to the government and they went, postal workers should be key workers because we keep the country connected and we want them to carry on working throughout the pandemic and the lockdowns and everything else. And the government went, yeah, alright. So for 2 years all the postmen worked right the way through the pandemic, keeping the country protected, putting themselves in danger in places at times, if you like, by being out during the pandemic, and basically working quite hard. Quite a few of them got very ill, and quite a few died due to COVID. You know, so it's, had they stayed at home, would they have not got COVID and survived? Who knows? Nobody knows. But you've got a better chance of it, really. So, yeah. So for the 2 years through the pandemics, postal workers were classified as key workers and told to go to work. Unless, for obvious reasons, clinically vulnerable and that you couldn't. So they did. And the government was out and everybody was out clapping key workers and nurses and the NHS and everything else every Thursday. Well, a lot of postmen considered that was them as well, so you know. So there you go, so that's what happened 2 years ago. Now this year, 2 years down the line, postmen, it's time for them to get a pay rise. And the post, or the union, good God, the union in the post office said, right, it's time to negotiate a pay rise. And Royal Mail went, yep. And the union that's in the post office, by the way, is the Commercial Workers Union, the CWU. And Royal Mail went, yep, let's negotiate a pay rise. Right, here's our offer. Okay, so after 2 years of working through the pandemic, Royal Mail shares going right the way up, shareholders earning lots of money. In fact, in January this year, the shareholders got paid out £400 million, not obviously one person, but to all the shareholders in the dividends. Got paid out a special payment of £400 million because of the work that the postmen had done, keeping the company going and the country connected, if you like, throughout the pandemic. So Royal Mail come back and said, yep, right, here's our offer. 2% initially, but with this 2% there's some strings attached to it. And then if we agree that 2% and you accept all these strings that are attached to this pay rise, there's a further 1.5% with some more strings attached to it. Now, these strings, you say, oh well, it's 3.5% pay rise, that ain't bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. And to be honest with you, due to the cost of living, most people would accept that sort of pay rise as bike a nod, because as anybody says, you know, any increase in money is welcome at the moment because the cost of living's going up, cost of fuel, gas, oil, everything, all the prices going up, electric. Another bike a nod. So yeah, so you'd accept that, but the strings are postmen will lose allowances. So you're going to lose your allowances. Now, those of you who don't know, allowances are what's paid extra on top of your wages for either doing a specialised job, so you've got specialised training, working unsociable hours or unsociable shifts, working in a high cost of living area like London, Oxford and some of these places where it's very expensive to live. You get an extra payment, or even the out of London payment, you get those as extra on top of your wages to make it easier for you to survive living and working in that area, and also to get people into the company, because if it's a minimum wage job, you're not going to get people from a high cost of living area working there. They just don't do it. It's not worth it for them. So yep, so that's one. You're going to lose all those allowances, but we're giving you 3.5% in total, providing you accept some of the other strings. Now, one of those strings that's mentioned is annualised hours. Now, if you don't know what annualised hours is they take your basic working week, they times it by 52, and that is how many hours you've got to work that year. Now, when the work is low and there isn't a lot of work to do, they can ask you to reduce your hours that week, or that month, or those couple of months. And then at peak times, when it's really, really busy, they ask you to increase your hours. So basically you're paying back hours you've had off. It's like time in lieu but backwards, which would then cut a lot of overtime that people do, because during the peak times you get overtime to clear the extra work. So that's another one, annualised hours. The other one is they will revise the sick pay. Now, there's no details on what this is, but currently at Royal Mail, if you go sick, you get your full pay, minus some bits and pieces, but you get basically your full money. So they want to look at that and probably not pay that. And there's another couple of bits and pieces in there. In the end, so I'm not rambling on for too long. At the end of the day, they're on about reducing your basic pay by removal of all these allowances, and then if you do happen to get ill, you're losing more money that way, and all for a grand total of 3.5% on your basic pay. So the union, quite rightly so, said actually no, we want a pay deal, everything else could be negotiated separately, we just want a no strings attached pay deal for the staff, so at least they got something. And apparently Royal Mail have come back and said no, they're not doing that. It's this or nothing at the moment. So I mean, you've not seen anything about it in the news or anything, you probably won't, not for a while, until it starts getting really messy. But for now, the union and Royal Mail are in their resolution process, and it'll probably start hitting the newspaper stands and that when if that breaks down and they don't come to a resolution, and they start they start looking at, or the unions start looking at doing a ballot for balloting its members for industrial action. So your poor postman that brings you all your stuff every day, or every day you have a delivery, he comes 6 days a week, rain or shine, pandemic or no pandemic, has delivered your everything from food to toilet rolls during the pandemic. Oh, oily, greasy stuff all over the floor here, look. Everything he's done for you, all that time, he's not getting rewarded from. So if you do start hearing in the news about how postmen are being unreasonable and threatening industrial action and everything else, pretty laid out as those are the reasons why, because they are looking at, I mean, everybody's struggling at the moment with the cost of living, everything's gone up. I mean, it cost me just £10 a day almost to go backwards and forwards to work, and it never used to cost me that much. You know, so the cost of living for everybody's gone up, and in effect what we're looking at from what the postmen are looking at from Royal Mail is a pay cut, earning less money for doing exactly the same work, and it's not acceptable, especially after they paid shareholders out millions of pounds. So yeah, so support your postal worker, and if you start hearing about things, it's not his fault, so don't have a go at him. It is the situation as it is, and it needs to be resolved. So support your postal worker. If you happen to see him, say, I'm with you, I'm thinking of you. And there you go. So that's today's little rant about supporting your postal worker, over and done with. And it's not a pretty situation, and it's not nice to be in, and nobody wants to take industrial action, because in industrial action you lose money, but you're going to lose a lot more if you don't. As Bob Crow once said, if you fight you won't always win, but if you don't fight you will always lose. So there you go, little quote from Bob Crow there. Right, all that being said, thank you for watching or listening, or however you look doing this. Don't forget, class, click like, subscribe and share, and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care, all the best, keep it rubber side down, shiny side up. Bye for now, bye bye.